Hello and welcome to today's event. I'm Action Associate Industry Marketing Specialist Jason Naxted, and today's event UnForm's Image Manager Document Capture. Today's event will cover how UnForm's Image Manager is a powerful yet affordable solution that automates the capture of either scanned or electronic documents for submission to UnForm's Document Archive and IDM. This flexible capabilities of UnForm's Image Manager solution are not limited to specific business processes and can be applied across your entire organization. At the end of today's presentation, we'll have time to answer any of your questions. And as always, this will be recorded. So if there's something you think we may have missed, you can always watch it online on our YouTube channel or reach out to Action to schedule a demo for your company. A little about what you're seeing at the bottom of your screen. You'll see some icons. From there, you can access resources we have on the platform, ask a question, or request a demo. Today's presenter, Mr. Paul Buchel. For over 25 years, Paul has been working with distributors to help them streamline their back office operations to optimize employee productivity. And for 10 plus of those years, Paul has focused on automation solutions like document management. Today's event will cover a little bit about Action, the UnForm's solution review, automated document data and capture for data entry automation, a quick demo, and time for a Q&A. So a little bit about us. Our company, 220 employees and more than 6,500 customers. We're a national ERP software reseller and IT infrastructure provider focused on the architectural, engineering, and construction, real estate, distribution, and manufacturing industries, 2 company-owned data centers, a top 20 VAR in North America, and the 2023 winner of the Top Workplace Award. Now, enough about us. Paul, if you're ready, it's all on you, sir.
Sure. So today we're going to build off of some of the previous webinars, and we're going to look at the ability to automatically capture documents, extract the information from those documents, and deliver it to an ERP with the goal to be eliminating the need to do manual data entry. And the way, kind of where it starts, is with our Image Manager product. So within there, you can configure what we call inbound sources. And an inbound source monitors either an email box or boxes, and you can have aliases. So you could have one email box and multiple aliases to move things around. Or it could be a network directory that you're dragging and dropping stuff into, or scanning stuff to. So if you're scanning warehouse, packing slips from your suppliers, you can hit the shortcut on a scanner, scan to a specific directory that's been configured to process those documents for you automatically. And then as we get the data off of those documents, we're going to format it based on whatever the target ERP is. So, if you're using, CSD, it's the XML BODs. If it's on SX, it's the .bat files. Could be offline order entry files. It could be CSV files. Again, it just depends on what ERP you're using and what that ERP is looking for from the data stream. Just kind of a quick overview. We've got a variety of applications, and you can kind of mix and match these to to get to the functionality you're looking for. But our the print management piece has been around for quite some time. And what that does is it takes the output from the ERP print and formats that as forms and reports. And you can do, it's a very powerful, flexible tool. So you can do all those things, like duplex printing. You can do tray control, all those advanced kind of printing functionalities that you need. And then, of course, you can send them to printers, or you can email it or fax it straight out of there as well. Now, one of the other solutions we have is our archive, and that's our document repository where we store electronic copies of documents. And documents hit that archive a variety of ways. So as you're running documents through the UnForm print management, they can be pushed automatically into the archive. So as you print your invoices, we can capture a copy of those in the archive automatically. Any of the documents that are running through Infor can be pushed into the archive automatically, so nobody has to do anything to get them in there. And then we use our Image Manager application to capture external documents. So those could be documents like vendor invoices, customer purchase orders, or it could be a document that you generated and then want to bring back in like a pick ticket that has a signature on it for your proof of delivery. So you can bring those through Image Manager. And again, there's a couple of ways you can get them in there. If it's a hard copy and you need to scan it, you just scan it to a configured directory, and that configuration determines how it's going to handle those particular documents. And we can also capture emails as well. So if people are emailing you documents, we can get that document off the email, and then Image Manager identifies it and then determines what needs to happen to that document and moves it through the process. And if you've already gotten, if it's already an electronic copy, you don't need to print it out and put it on a scanner. You just drag and drop it into a directory, and it'll pull it through Image Manager. And then once you've got your documents into Archive, all those documents in Archive are available for our DocFlow module. And that's used to route documents for, whatever the reasons are. Where we've seen the heaviest use with it at the moment is with accounts payable. So, and again, depending on which ERP you're using, we've got, typically there's two different flows. One's for trade invoices that may require a three-way match ahead of time, or if you're using SX or CSD, the three-way match happens within the AP Invoice Center. So one of the flows we use in AP is when when an invoice fails three-way match, to route it back through to the appropriate folks to take whatever corrective actions necessary. And then the other one we typically see in AP is for expense type invoices that need to be routed, typically for approval, maybe GL assignment. So we can route those through prior to entry to make sure we've captured all that information that we need. And then also, as documents come through Image Manager and hit Archive, we can also push the data from those documents over to the ERP. So what we'll look at today is accounts payable, where we take the information off of some invoices and we'll push them through into, in this example today, it'll be AP Invoice Center. But again, it just depends on what your application is as far as what that process is. But we can also use Image Manager and Archive. You can also use that to push, if you're using IDM, you can use it to push documents into IDM as well. So that's kind of the overview of all the different applications and a real quick explanation of how they work together. And again, you can mix and match these as needed to get to whatever functionality it is you're looking for. So the application is 100% browser based, so you're not having to deploy it on everybody's desktop. And then we've done a tremendous amount of work to automate the process of capturing documents, whether it's just to get them indexed and into the archive for retrieval at a later time, or to extract that data to create the electronic transaction. We've done a tremendous amount of work to automate that. Again, the goal here is to minimize data entry as much as possible. And of course, we can also drop those documents into flows to route them around based on whatever the particular document is and whatever steps are required to push that through your business process. But then we've also made it, easy. We've got, the ability to identify exceptions and manage those. And there are some cases where, sometimes there is some manual data entry required, but we've done, again, some things that can speed that up as well. So, but that is the whole goal, is to automate the capture of the documents and then get them filed away or get the data and pass it on for as a transaction as needed. Let me jump. I tell you what, before we go through this, I am going to share my screen here. So this is just make sure I've got the right screen. Yes, so this is the UnForm main page here. So this has all the various applications that we developed on it. So within here, we've got Archive, server manager used to maintain server, of course. Design tool is what's used to design forms. Image manager captures documents for archiving and for processing uh, as transactions. Docflow routes those documents and gets them through whatever business process you have. So again, 100% browser based, so very easy to deploy. First, I'm going to take a quick look at Archive and show you a couple things. The way we have constructed this is based on what we call a library. So a library is typically just a grouping of documents that's based on a particular job function. So within the accounts payable library, you'd have all the various documents associated with the AP function. And then there's a variety of ways to search for those documents as well. If you're looking for a specific document, you can start with the document ID from there and pull it up. In this case, we've got a check. And on that check, this would typically be one that's captured at print, but on there we've got invoice numbers and PO numbers. So as it comes in, it's automatically linked back to those documents that have been captured previously. So from the check, I can get down to the backup for that particular check. So I can get to the check. I've got the invoices, the packing slip, and the purchase order. So if I'm reviewing the checks, to sign them, I've got all that backup I need right at the with that one easy search. And it doesn't matter how or when these documents come in, when they share common indexing information, they're automatically linked together. So an invoice may have been captured out of an email, packing slip is typically going to be scanned in. And then the purchase order, of course, is captured at print. Again, it doesn't matter when or how it happens, as long as they share those common indexing fields, then they're automatically linked together. And then within Archive is where you configure our inbound sources. So again, an inbound source is determines not only where that document's coming from, it could be a directory or an email address, but then from there we define what do we want to do with that document. So based on these actions, that tells us what we want to do with those documents. So, and again, it could be email, it could be a directory somewhere on your system. So again, it's all based on this configuration, what happens to those documents when they come in. Image Manager is where all that happens. So this is a batch of invoices that came in via email. And as they come into Image Manager, we perform a variety of functions on it. First, we identify who sent it to us, and then based on that, we know where to look on that document for the key pieces of data we need to do whatever we're doing with it. So all that header information, invoice number, vendors, PO numbers, all those things, we capture that from there. And then we run validations against that as well. So the validations can be any number of things. So we can validate that the vendor number, PO number actually exists in the ERP to make sure that that's all lining up. We can do the math on a document. So if it's an invoice, we can, do the math at the line item level, make sure that foots, and then total up the whole invoice along with any add-ons and make sure it foots to the invoice total. And that's just one of the, some of those things you can do to ensure that you've got very good and very accurate information off of those documents. So all the documents that passed validations have these check marks on it. Typically, you would not see these in Image Manager. They would just flow through. But for the purposes of this demo, I've got that automation turned off so we can see what it looks like. One of the other things too that Image Manager will do in this example here, this particular vendor sends a single PDF that has multiple invoices in it. Image Manager will split those up, so it's smart enough to know that as the invoice number changes, it needs to start a new document. So you don't have to do a bunch of pre-processing of stuff ahead of time should you have those situations. And then these that didn't get check marks are considered exceptions. So if we take a quick look at this one, we see that we've got a highlighted field over here. If I hover over it, it's going to tell me what the exception is. So in this case, it was a duplicate. It identified it as a duplicate invoice. So it's going to hold it here in Image Manager for someone to come in and to review and take whatever corrective actions necessary for that particular exception. So again, Image Manager, it's going to come in. It's going to capture header information. It's going to capture line item detail if needed. And then in this example, it's going to format that data as an XML bod and push it over into the AP center for it. Now, within Image Manager, we've got a variety of tools to capture that data. Typically, what we see today with most inbound supplier and vendor invoices is that it's a PDF with a text layer on it. So that's what this is. It's a PDF with a text layer. So when this comes in, we can read the text off that document without having to run an OCR engine against it. So it's accurate 100% of the time. We read the data. It's just a mapping process from there. We do have also have an OCR engine built in. It's an AI-driven OCR engine that is very good. It's production quality. So if it is an image, then we'd run the OCR engine against it. So it'll make a pass. If it detects text on a PDF, it'll use that particular process. If it determines that it needs to use the OCR engine, it will use that. So again, variety of ways to get that data. We can also read barcodes off the documents as well. So if we have a document coming in as a barcode, we can read a barcode, and then from there, we can use that data to query the ERP and pull in any other information we need to. So again, a lot of different ways for us to capture that information. You can certainly manually enter data as well. So all those different ways to capture the data just helps to ensure that we can automate that document as much as possible. Let me go back over here. So in this example, let me do this real quick. So I've got this particular vendor set up to capture line item detail off of it. And from there, we're going to process these. And again, typically this would happen, in the background. And I'm going to say go here. So what it has done now, it has filed those documents in the archive, and in this example, it's actually pushed those into this is Cloud Suite we're looking at, but it's pushed those into the AP Invoice Center so that they're there ready for processing. So again, the document came in via email. Image Manager extracted the information, formatted it as the XML bod in this example, and pushed it over to AP Invoice Center. And from here, standard AP functionality takes over from here. So again, the point here is to eliminate as much data entry as possible so that you can focus on, taking care of exceptions or managing those, those invoices that may take a little more work than, those routine transactions. We also, in this example, we also push those documents over into IDM, so you have that option as well. So it can reside in both UnForm and IDM. So let's take a quick look at DocFlow, and then as soon as we step through this, I'm going to open up for questions. So again, DocFlow is the application we use to route documents, and we'll kind of stick with the AP theme here today. But as documents come in, in this example, a trade document, should it fail the three-way match, it can be added to the DocFlow and alert the appropriate person responsible for that particular process that, hey, you got something happening. You need to take a look at it. So we can send an email to alert them. They click a link and we bring them into DocFlow to their documents. And then from there, in this example, we can have, send a copy of the invoice along with, the packing slip and the purchase order so that they have all the documents they need to do whatever research is required. You can also have notes, add notes on here. So whatever that note needs to be can be added here. And then if you need to add additional attachments, if you have, for example, an email from a vendor saying, gosh, I'm sorry, I miskeyed that, you can add that in here as well. So you can come in and pull in another attachment from there. So you'd have a whole, all the documents related to this particular transaction would be stored together so you can get to them, as needed. And then as this goes through, you have these actions, and these are all defined based on whatever your particular process is. So this is all configurable here. So whatever it is you need would be configured this way. So you can come in here, and if he says, yeah, that one's okay to go, and hit save, and then forward, what it did, it just alerted AP that this document, this particular invoice has been, corrected, and it's ready for data entry. Or in this example, it would just release it, or I'm sorry, it could just release it and have that document go back into AP. We're also logging and tracking everything that happens to that document. So there's an audit trail of, when it got into the flow, when it was, first acted on, and, just you can keep track of where it is and what happened to it as it goes through that particular flow. So that is, doc flow. And again, it can be used for any, any process. We've got some folks that actually built out an HR hiring process with it, which I thought was pretty cool. So, it's very flexible. It's not limited to any particular business process. And I want to make sure too that this image manager, it also is very flexible. So you can use it to do very simple scanning of documents all the way up to that advanced functionality we looked at, where it's pulling data off of invoices and formatting it as an electronic transaction and pushing that into AP. Let me just jump back over here. So we've been working through and updating some case studies lately, and just wanted to share a little bit of this information with you real quick, and then we'll open up for some questions. But we've got First Supply implemented this a little while back, and they average about 8,000 invoices a month, both trade and expense vendors. And by using the tool and this is just in AP, and they've been able to reduce the amount of data entry time between 50 and 60%. So that means that not only were they able to reassign some of the AP folks to other functions, it gives their AP team much more time to investigate and resolve problem invoices. So the idea here is, automate the invoices so that you have time to deal with the ones that may not necessarily, flow through as easily as some of those routine transactions. And then the iwi group really has done some cool stuff. So they really jumped in and learned the application. So they started doing trade invoices. From there, they moved on to vendor acknowledgments and vendor shipping documents. So they've automated that whole process with those. They're also using it for their vendor statements. They've got some customers that they're using it to get remittance advice off, and in their case, they're using the lockbox functionality in SX to do that. So they're getting the data off of their checks, formatting it as the lockbox file and bringing it in. And they're starting to automate inbound customer purchase orders as well. So, warehouse transfers. And I guess, I think what this really demonstrates is the flexibility of the tool. You don't have to buy a different application to do these different things. It's capable of doing all those various things. So, once you've mastered it, once you've learned it, you can roll it out to other, document-based processes from there. But ultimately, they're doing, almost 40,000 documents a month through this, and 70% of them are going through touchless. So it's been a huge time saver for them. And again, it's just really shows how flexible the tool is. You can use it for a lot of different things. And now, Jason, I think we can open up for questions.
Yeah, I got one or two actually. For the ERP we're running, is there any additional setup required?
Well, so depending on your ERP, there are some certain things that are true across all. One of which is, and again, I'm going to use the AP invoice example here. Is you do have to have part number synchronization in place. So that means you got to have the part numbers cross-referenced. So that part number that's coming in on that invoice needs to exist somewhere in your system. Most of the ERPs have the ability to set up those part number cross references. So that's the big thing, is synchronizing that data first. Same holds true with units of measure. In some industries, it's a lot easier because everything's eaches. But then you do have some other industries where, you may have, be buying stuff by the thousand, and depending on what size sheet it is, it's a different cost per piece. So, but again, the typical ERPs we deal with have the ability to deal with those unit conversions. So you do have to think through some of that and make sure you've got that data, in the ERP needs to be clean and set up appropriately.
All right. Does Image Manager only use OCR?
No, it doesn't. If you remember, we talked about, most PDFs that we bring in via email have been generated by an application, not unlike UnForm. So they have a text layer on them. So again, we can read that text layer off accurately 100% of the time. And then we only have to apply the OCR to those that require it.
All right. Well, I think that was it for the questions. Thank you so much, Paul, for this. It's always really fun to talk to you about this kind of stuff. What makes Action unique? We're the largest Infor distribution partner in North America. We partner with leading technology providers like UnForm to transform business operations for our Action customers, deliver high-value consultative services addressing business process improvement, including industry best practices and innovative technology solutions. For ERP implementations, our proprietary lean implementation process ensures a successful go live. Thank you to everyone who took time out of your business day to attend this event. Thank you to Paul. And make sure to look out for emails. We'll be sending you a recorded version of this for everyone who signed up, and for everyone who maybe couldn't make it. Also, reach out to Action to request a demo or to ask any questions. I can direct you those to Paul. I'm Jason Nacksted, once again, JKNACKSTEDT at action.com. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.
Thank you.